What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. So I'm going back and forth when it comes to, draft content, right? Do I want to cover mock drafts for the New York Jets this early? Do I want to start doing scouting breakdowns? Do I want to do my own mock draft? None of it really seemed that, interesting or entertaining to me. We still have a season going on, and even though it's not a ton of excitement or hope there for me, there's still some things I want to kind of pay attention to. But I did want to kind of give my early perspective based on some of the mock drafts I have seen and the two more likely candidates that it seems we could end up drafting at least in the first round by the time April rolls around. And so the two most popular picks are essentially tackle Joe Altman, wide receiver Malik Nabers, right? And I'm trying to take a wholesale, big picture approach when I'm thinking about this. And this isn't necessarily specific to the Jets either, right? When you kind of think about recent history, I feel like we need to attack the offensive line. Yes, there's examples out there of offenses and quarterbacks that are getting the job done, even though they have a poor offensive line, but that is not the way you generally want an offense to function. It's also not the motto and the expectation that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh have set for the New York Jets, right? We said it starts in the trenches. We want to make sure we have elite lines on both sides of the ball. We've only accomplished half of that goal, and as you can guess it, that was on the defense. So when I take a look at things, the state of the offensive line now, you don't really have anything. I would argue you have one solid starter on this New York Jets team, right? And that's rookie Joe Tippmann. For what I'm seeing, I'm impressed. You give him an offseason, he'll have some further strength and conditioning. He looks like he's ready to come out as kind of an all-star next year. Obviously, you have Elijah Vera Tucker. No disrespect to him. We had concerns last year. He came back. He put those to rest pretty quickly. But still, he's coming off two major back-to-back injuries once again. So it's not for lack of talent, but for, the availability concerns. I wouldn't just assumingly pencil him in as a surefire starter. Then you talk about the other guard position. You have Laken Tomlinson at the absolute best. He's looked average, but he's going to end up being under contract again next year. So at least you have a starter on paper. I don't want to say it should be hard to upgrade, but it's probably not likely you look to upgrade his specific spot. And then at the tackles, Mekhi Becton, he has arguably performed worse than his rookie season, in my opinion. And so when you talk about extensions and stuff, a home team discount kind of seems out of the picture with all of the drama that we've kind of heard, and maybe his potential feelings towards the coaching staff, as well as having to switch positions and stuff. And his projected contract value that I keep seeing is in the $12 million range. In my opinion, anything $10 million plus is kind of an overpayment for what we're seeing, right? I think a prove-it year would be perfect for Mekhi Becton here, but I don't think we will be the benefits of that. So you're down a starter at left tackle. Dwayne Brown shouldn't be back. Asian veteran. It's performed terribly, and then, of course, hasn't really been available to us this year. So now you're down a backup. And then on the other side, Max Mitchell has been all right. I don't think you've actually seen as much development as we would have liked, per se. A couple of games where he's done really, really well, right? The Raiders won versus Max Crosby, but the consistency isn't there. And again, the development maybe not as on par with what I expected. So I would say at the very least, don't pencil him in as a starter. And then Billy Turner was essentially the backup behind him, right? And you don't want him coming back to the team. So not only are you down essentially three starters, if you want to consider Laken Tomlinson available and at least serviceable, you need three starters. You need plenty of backups with the rash of injuries that we've hit. So go the Joe Altman route, right? Notre Dame, great injury history from what I recall, brings prototypical size. I think he's about 6'7", 6'8", 320-ish, something like that. I'll have all of those down when I start running through scouting breakdowns. But round one is essentially where you're going to get the best available talent on the offensive line, right? You take a look at the spectrum of things. Generally, round one guys are going to be highly skilled players in terms of being a technician. And then, of course, they have the athleticism to back it up. As you go down, things start teeter-tottering, right? Maybe low athletic levels, but he displays high quality, refinement in terms of skills. Route running, if you're talking receivers, releases off the line, blocking ability for a tight end, being able to, go in line, being able to be split out, offensive line, hand usage, anchoring, weight distribution, different things of that nature. So, athleticism can go up and down, skill level can go up and down, but you start to see both of those things, generally speaking, go down as you go throughout the draft, right? And you can see clear examples of the discrepancy between how easy it is to find a suitable wide receiver versus a offensive line member, right? You take a look at this draft, alone that we just finished up. You have Puka Nacua looking like a top 10 tight end in the league already. And it's funny because on our final mock draft for the Just Flight Squad podcast, I believe me and Gunny drafted him in like the 6th or 7th round. And who would have known he'd look this great this early, right? You have your round 1 guys, your Jordan Addisons, your Zay Flowers, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Quentin Johnston, Tank Dell, Josh Downs in the later rounds. Not saying that they're going to, come into the league for this next crop looking like, top 50 players at their position already. But considering the Jets don't need to go out and find a wide receiver 1, they just need a solid running mate for Garrett Wilson at the 2. It should be a much easier job to go out there and get done for the Jets. So I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it, right? The name to know in the wide receiver, world, at least as of right now, and the popular pick if you want to go wide receiver is Malik Nabers. Solid size, explosive ability, deep threat. I've heard about the great body control and being able to go out there and manipulate things to make the catch. So I don't think you can necessarily go wrong either way, but which one is going to benefit you the most right now while also being a great value pick for the long term? I think offensive line gets that done for you, right? And I heard Gunny made a good point on the green bean Thursday thick of it. You're seeing tackles, the talent level transitioning from college to NFL has been, worse and worse year after year. You're really seeing tackles maybe perform at elite levels going into year 3, whereas you can see some earlier returns for wide receivers. But the long-term payoff for hitting on a tackle versus hitting on the wide receiver, I think it generally works in favor for the offensive line. And again, we need a lot more help there, right? And even if you want to include free agent talks, the pool in free agency is going to dwindle very quickly, right? Teams are not letting quality players go because we understand there's a void of talent coming from college to the NFL, at least in terms of being able to rely on somebody right out of the gate. I don't know. Maybe it'll be worth actually jumping into scouting breakdowns pretty early. I can actually get into covering many more prospects outside of just round 1 this year. But I don't know. Ultimately, let me know what you guys think. It's just kind of some of my early thoughts about what we should be doing. And I don't think it's a world-changing idea, right? Build up the offensive line. Give Aaron Rodgers a real, actual, true chance to succeed, and start rebuilding that infrastructure for whoever takes the reins from Aaron Rodgers. I think it's as simple as that. But there's a lot of exciting talent. There's bound to be plenty of names that change on these mock drafts once a lot of the experts in the media start diving into things. But let me know what you think. Offensive line, wide receiver. Do you have a sneaky different pick that you think we should seriously consider as well? And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.